77th Street station. Ezell Ford, a 25-year-old black man, was shot and killed by LAPD officers near the same area back in August 11th, after police say he tried to pull an officer's gun from its holster. But LAPD Chief Charlie Beck says, quote, whether or not Mr. Ford's unfortunate death had anything to do with it, I seriously doubt. This has been a conflict that is ongoing, referring to the gang-related shooting of the officers. Police say 3 people were questioned in connection with the shooting that left the 2 officers with minor injuries, but were later released from custody, pending further investigation. The officers returned fire, but it was not known if any suspects were hit. As for the internal investigation into the police shooting of Ezell Ford, findings will be presented to the Police Commission next month. LA City Controller Ron Galperin has launched a site to help make the LA Department of Water and Power more accountable in light of recent revelations about its botched billing system. Gil Reyes reports on the new DWP utility panel that you can access online.
It's an easy-to-access site which for the first time makes the LA Department of Water and Power's financial data available in one place.
LA City Controller Ron Galperin talks about a new online portal that reveals LA DWP payments for just about everything, from employee uniforms to payroll to overtime. The site, called the DWP Utility Panel, also includes performance data on water main breaks, also call wait times for customers.
While the utility panel does not answer every question that is raised about this extraordinary, complex institution, it shed light on its operations, its finances, and makes them transparent.
Launch of the portal coincides with a scathing state audit of the DWP's new billing system. That system has failed to collect over $680 million in customer bills, according to the audit. In response, LA City Attorney Mike Feuer has filed a lawsuit against the vendor hired to implement the system, PricewaterhouseCoopers. With transparency at the LADWP as goal, City Controller Ron Galperin says he's also resuming his own audit of 2 utility nonprofits. Over the years, the DWP nonprofits have collected over $40 million in ratepayer money with little or no explanation as to how that money was spent. In downtown LA, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The DWP Utility Panel is now online. Access the site at utilitypanel.la. Methane gas, a potent greenhouse gas, is a growing environmental concern, but city leaders are working with scientists to figure out how to reduce it. Yana Kay reports.
You may not see it, but it's all around us. Methane gas, a primary component of natural gas, is being released every day into the atmosphere, polluting the climate and contributing to global warming. That's why city leaders, scientists, and environmental groups gathered recently for the city's first ever methane symposium to come up with a plan to reduce methane emissions.
The science is pretty clear. We know where the emissions are coming from, and we know that we can cut up to 40% of those emissions really at a zero cost, because the methane, when you keep it in the pipes and you can sell it, it's a thing that people pay for. It's a commodity that we don't need to be releasing into the atmosphere.
Methane emissions come from various sources such as oil and gas production, gas leaks, and landfills. Officials say agriculture and animal waste release the most methane gas into the atmosphere. But efforts are already underway at Southern California Gas to control methane emissions.
Our system is so pervasive in Southern California, it can be used to help capture some of the methane from the dairies and the farms and the waste. So that we can use that methane and turn it back into CO2.
CO2 is carbon dioxide that plants convert into oxygen. And if officials can't succeed in capturing methane emissions from agriculture or oil production, it can lead to a renewable form of methane. According to NASA research, Los Angeles produces one of the worst methane footprints in the nation. In fact, methane emissions are 60% higher than previous estimates. But city officials say they are dedicated to get methane emissions under control.
I want the city of Los Angeles to come out swinging and show the international community our commitment to strong climate action.
Now, officials say there are some things you can do right now to help reduce methane emissions. And one of those things is to reduce the amount of meat that you eat and increase your levels of produce and fish. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
Methane gas traps 84 times more heat than carbon dioxide in the first 20 years after it is emitted. An LAPD detective is recognized for his work in fighting hate crimes. Rasha Goel takes us to the Anti-Defamation League's annual award ceremony honoring law enforcement.
LAPD Detective Ross Nemroff was among those being recognized for fighting hate crimes. He, along with other law enforcement officers, recently received the Sherwood Prize for their commitment to reducing hate crimes and bigotry in the community.
I was the investigator on a transgender hate crime involving a transgender in the city of Los Angeles. She was a victim of hate. This case went through the court process from preliminary hearing to trial, and then the suspect was eventually convicted.
Sable Simone, who Detective Nemroff helped, was on hand to share her story.
I remember I got a phone call from him, and he said, well, do you need me to come pick you up? Do you need anything? And I had never had a cop say those things to me. You know, I had never had a police officer to be there in that way for me.
The award ceremony was presented by the Anti-Defamation League.
It's not just important for the criminal to be arrested. It's important for the community to hear that they are supported when there's a hate crime.
Awards were presented to group honorees for preventing international terrorism and to individual honorees for their independent work.
These cases are extremely difficult, but also extremely divisive and threatening to our communities. So the fact that the ADL takes the time and puts the energy and effort into celebrating successful case prosecutions, it sets a great tone.
And helps strengthen the rapport between law enforcement and the community it serves. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
The Sherwood Prize was created in 1996 by Joe and Helene Sherwood, founders of Daniels Jewelers. Los Angeles police officers in the West Los Angeles Division now have an added layer of protection, literally, when coming face-to-face with gunfire. Yana Kay explains.
These new tactical vests are the latest piece of safety equipment that will be used by LAPD officers in the West Los Angeles Division when they're in the field.
This is our way to give back to the heroes that protect us every day.
Community members and city leaders, including council members Paul Koretz and Mike Bonin, gathered to deliver a total of 16 vests to the LAPD's West Los Angeles Division. The vests were donated by the Friends of West Los Angeles, a nonprofit organization that supports West LA schools, libraries, parks, police, and fire.
These vests go over their existing bulletproof vests, and they provide extra protection. They also provide a place for the officers to store equipment as they go on raids.
The vests will be used by LAPD detectives and narcotics officers who oftentimes find themselves in situations with dangerous suspects, such as gang members.
It behooves our folks to be very cautious and prepared, and these flak vests will help them to be prepared.
And officials hope that one more layer of protection will help keep more officers out of harm's way. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
Some relief for the homeless is headed to the Valley, where more and more of the displaced have congregated. As Gil Reyes reports, new affordable housing is being built with some rooms reserved for military veterans.
Coming to the community of Valley Glen, east of Van Nuys, is housing for the homeless. These include tenants with special needs, those with disabilities or suffering from mental illness.
It provides them with opportunities to get health care and mental health and substance abuse prevention and so many other things that will help them to become long-term housed individuals.
Area Councilman Paul Krikorian talking about the soon-to-be-built Crest Apartments in the 13,000 block of Sherman Way. Not a homeless shelter. Shelters are transitional. Supporters call this permanent supportive housing aimed at keeping residents off the streets for good. Over 60 units will be available, over a third of them reserved for U.S. veterans.
Studio-sized apartments, about 350 square feet or so, with a bathroom and a kitchenette.
Also a health clinic and social service workers on site. The Skid Row Housing Trust ventures outside its home turf in downtown to build the complex west of North Hollywood. The cost, $20 million. The city of L.A. is helping to pay for less than a third of it. Call it an investment in the city's goal to end veteran homelessness by the end of the year. In Valley Glen, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The 5-story Crest apartment complex in Valley Glen is expected to open later this year. The city of LA honors the lives of those lost in a mass genocide in the Ottoman Empire. Rasha Goel has more on what is being done to support the Armenian community here in Los Angeles.
The intersection at Hollywood Boulevard and Western Avenue will now be known as the Armenian Genocide Memorial Square. Council members Mitch O'Farrell and Paul Krikorian spearheaded the motion, which prompts the LA Department of Transportation to erect a sign at the square.
This square will be a permanent reminder of the plight and just cause of the Armenian people, and will appropriately recognize the tragedy that befell the grandparents and great-grandparents of many of our constituents.
April 24th of this year marks the 100th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, which was planned and executed by the Turkish government. The massacre killed 1.5 million Armenians and forced countless others to leave their ancestral homeland.
The Armenian Genocide of 1915 is not only a national tragedy of the Armenian people, it's a tragedy for the mankind as well.
The unveiling of the sign will happen here in Little Armenia on the morning of April 24th. It will then be followed by a 6-mile march, which starts here and ends at the Turkish consulate.
March for Justice, which will be an unprecedented event. We will have tens of thousands of people on the streets of Los Angeles.
I want to highlight the importance of using this as an opportunity to educate our youth and our neighbors about the first genocide of modern times.
Los Angeles' Little Armenia is located in Councilman O'Farrell's 13th district and, according to officials, is the only designated Armenian neighborhood in the nation. In Hollywood, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
City Hall will also be lit in purple on April 24th and 100 pomegranate trees planted to recognize the centennial of the Armenian Genocide. Construction of a new terminal connector at LAX is moving full speed ahead as the structure begins to take shape. Yana Kay has more from LAX.
Construction crews placed the final steel beam on the frame of the new Terminal 4 connector, marking a major milestone for LAX.
The Terminal 4 connector is a giant step forward in our goal of securely connecting all LAX terminals, and is part of the overall plan to transform LAX into modern and efficient airport.
Airport officials signed the beam before it was hoisted to its final position on the steel structure. When completed, the connector will make it easier for international and domestic passengers to get to and from the South Terminals and the Tom Bradley International Terminal. Officials say this will be the first time there will be a secure connection from a domestic to an international terminal.
So an arriving international passenger coming in, for example, on American Airlines, will be able to get off their flight and just walk right through that upper level corridor, which will take them right into the new Bradley West Core. They won't have to go through security. They won't have to recheck their bags.
Turner construction crews began work on the project nearly 2 years ago and have collaborated with airport officials to achieve a common vision for the airport.
The T4 connector is really an example of Los Angeles' forward momentum in the design, the economy, and the sustainability. And for over 50 years of constructing in LA, Turner Construction exemplifies these values.
The Terminal 4 connector will also have a bus service that will transfer passengers between Terminals 5 and 8. Construction is expected to be completed in 2016. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
The connector will also feature an outdoor public plaza. An old blighted piece of land in the valley has been transformed into a space the whole community can use. Anna Marcos takes us to the grand opening of Panorama City's newest park.
The Mid-Valley Multi-Purpose Intergenerational Center has just opened, and already it has become a favorite stomping ground for some park users. The site becomes the 30th park built under the city's 50 Parks initiative.
You come out here with your family, maybe have a birthday party. There is some fitness equipment in the back and some play area in the back. So it's going to be, more of a, just come out here, enjoy the weather, enjoy the park.
You come into this building and you've got high ceilings, you've got sliding doors that open on both sides of it so that when you have an event, it can spill to the outside.
It's a really nice facility, and looks like they're going to have a lot of little programs that, according to the sign anyways.
The center will be holding Zumba, exercise, and line dancing classes, as well as arts and crafts. There will be activities for all ages, from children to seniors.
Well, what do you think you'll do here?
Just play and dance.
Play and dance, huh?
And do ballerina stuff.
ballerina stuff.
City leaders estimate about 11,000 residents, 3,400 of them kids, will be using this park, which is located in an apartment-dense area.
But we're trying to bring the parks to the community.
The park will be earth-friendly with an electric car charging station and a bioswale that filters, cleans, and recharges rainwater and puts it back into the groundwater table. Best of all, the park is people-friendly for both little kids and for the big kids. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The city attorney files lawsuits against 2 more nuisance properties. The city gives away free rain barrels. Find out how you can get one. Also an exhibit celebrating women. These stories in City Beat. LA City Attorney Mike Feuer has announced a crackdown on several crime-ridden properties recently via lawsuits. The latest ones in the communities of Venice and Del Rey. These are part of a coordinated citywide effort to rid Los Angeles neighborhoods of these nuisances.
In the case of one of these properties, there have been 16 drug-related arrests in the past year. In the case of the other property, there have been 6 drug-related arrests just in the past several months. We have in our office the ability to bring litigation to stop this activity.
The city attorney says the Venice property is not far from a school and child care center, while the Del Rey property is just a few houses away from a park. Free rain barrels are being offered again by the city after Keep Los Angeles Beautiful, a program within the city's Board of Public Works, has secured another 1,000 55-gallon syrup barrels and rain barrel conversion kits from Coca-Cola after its first rain barrel giveaway last fall was sold out immediately. LA residents can go to bpw.lacity.org to sign up.
As soon as we release these dates, people sign up because it is required that everyone participate in an education program, which is only about 15 minutes. But it's important that we make sure that everybody installs these units correctly at their home.
We just got the turf removal done on our front lawn, so it's all pretty rock and wet water-wise plants. Now we got the rain barrels, and we're going to see what else we can do to help save water.
The Department of Water and Power is also offering a $100 per barrel rebate up to 4 barrels if you purchase them on your own. At the recent barrel giveaway event, the city also gave away free trees to help with the city's canopy cover. The city's El Pueblo Historical Monument celebrated National Women's History Month with an exhibit at the Pico House Gallery called From Her, an exhibition by women about women. This year's exhibit sought to explore how women see themselves in relation to nature, if they do at all. The entries ranged from pencil sketches to watercolor to even textured, 3-dimensioned artwork. This was the second year the city hosted an exhibit honoring Women's History Month. After last year's inaugural exhibit was deemed a huge success, El Pueblo put the call out for submissions again this year. It's been a landmark in the Hollywood community for the last century, known for its Asian-inspired cuisine and its breathtaking view. As Yana K reports, it's now receiving official recognition from the city.
We hereby salute Mount Yamashiro.
City Council member Tom LaBonge unveiled a new sign that reads Mount Yamashiro in honor of the historical Yamashiro restaurant that sits high above Hollywood Boulevard.
When you read signs, you get in touch with community. When you read plaques, you get in touch with history.
And Yamashiro is certainly filled with history. For the last century, the restaurant, which was designated as a historical building, has served as a popular destination for locals and tourists, thanks to its stunning vistas and panoramic views all the way to the ocean. But the sign represents an even larger meaning.
It is very great honor to the Japan and the Japanese people, because it embodies the real true love of Los Angeles towards Japanese culture.
Perched 605 feet above sea level, the sign is set against a stunning backdrop that includes Mount Baldy. Yamashiro's owners say they've worked hard to maintain the beauty of the building and its surroundings.
Trying to make it as authentic as we could and keep its character, keep its structure, keep its architectural integrity.
Now, you can't miss the sign. It's conveniently located right in front of the entrance of the restaurant, so folks will be able to enjoy the view and see the sign right up close and personal. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
Yamashiro has also been featured in countless television shows and films. In this week's list of things to do, a one-woman show in Silver Lake, an Easter egg hunt in the valley, and a zebra made out of jelly beans at the zoo. Celebrate Women's History Month by attending a free performance depicting the mother of modern dance, Isadora Duncan. The one-woman show features actress Cress Mursky, who's described by The Hollywood Reporter as a talent of major proportions. She will interpret the legendary free thinker at Silver Lake Branch Library during its free program on Thursday, March 26th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. The library is located at 2411 Glendale Boulevard. Call 323-913-7451 for more information. On Saturday, March 28th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Shadow Ranch Park at 22633 Van Owen Street in West Hills will be the site of the 8th annual Extravaganza and Health and Safety Fair. This is the 8th year the event is being presented by the Shadow Ranch and the Woodland Hills Recreation Centers, along with the West Hills Neighborhood Council. You can get your picture taken with the Easter Bunny, play games, search for Easter eggs, of course, and learn about community resources for disaster preparedness. This event is also in need of volunteers to help with setup and teardown, as well as assistance with the egg hunt. Go to westvalleyevents.org. Artist Kristen Cummings will create a large-scale artwork of the Los Angeles Zoo zebra entirely out of Jelly Belly jelly beans. You can see the creation on Saturday and Sunday, March 28th and 29th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the LA Zoo. Once complete, the 4x5-foot jelly bean mosaic becomes part of the Jelly Belly Endangered Species Bean Art Traveling Collection, which tours the country for display at museums and through animal conservation programs. You can see some of the jelly bean animal art at our Facebook page, facebook.com/LA This Week. While at the zoo, visitors can also check out the adorable newborns now at the zoo, including baby chimps, otters, a hippo, and a giraffe. The LA Zoo is located at 5333 Zoo Drive. Go to lazoo.org for details. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. And staying on the topic of the zoo, there are some new arrivals at the LA Zoo this spring, and some of them come from the land down under. Anna Marcos takes us there.
Springtime at the LA Zoo has a decidedly Aussie feel to it this year. The marsupial exhibits koala baby joeys and kangaroo joeys. 2 of each were born last year and are about to spring out of the pouch.
They poke body parts out, so you'll see a leg, you might see an arm, you might see the head coming out.
The baby kangaroo joeys, about 9 months, still spend a lot of time inside their mother's pouches. But sometimes they come out to try out the sweet potatoes and corn or to stretch out their legs. Finally, after much peekabooing, a kangaroo joey steps out in a big way.
It was pretty cool. We didn't know they were here, so it was a nice surprise to see the little babies. She liked watching it jump around.
And while the baby kangaroos are still getting their land legs, the koala joeys are now permanently out of the pouch. Though you still don't see them much. They spend most of their time burrowed against their mother's stomach. You can barely see this little one's claws peeking out. Koalas, it seems, have plenty of unusual traits.
The koalas only eat eucalyptus. It is a very toxic plant for a lot of different species of animals, but they do have special bacteria in their gut that actually allows them to break down the toxins.
And in the Australia Nocturnal House, which just opened, there is yet another marsupial surprise. This is the public's first look at the southern hairy-nosed wombat. There are only 8 of them in North America. Meanwhile, the baby joeys are learning to do what all marsupials learn. For the koalas, it involves a lot of sleeping and eating. For the kangaroo joeys, well, jumping around on feet this big takes some getting used to. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacitywiew.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. Our Twitter handle is @LATW35. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
I want to thank Mr. Blumenfeld, Mr. Buscaino, Mr. Cedillo, Mr. Englander, Mr. Fuentes, Mr. Koretz, and Mr. Krikorian, as well as Mr. O'Farrell and Wesson. I think we got 10. We got a team. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Blumenfeld, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Weezer, Caress, Krikorian, Labange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Wesson. 10 members present, a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Koretz moves and Mr. Buscaino seconds.
Next is committed to resolutions for approval.
Mr. Blumenfeld moves and Mr. Fuentes seconds.
Mr. President, today is Tuesday, and now be the time for the flag salute.
I'd like all to rise at this time, and I'd like to ask Mr. Cedillo of the 1st District to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next order.
Mr. President, there's a request to continue item 2 to April 14th, items 24 and 33 to April 24th, and items 26, 27, and 28 to March 31st.
Without objection, so ordered.
Items 1 through 21 are items noticed for public hearing. The Department of Building and Safety reports that items 5 and 10 may be received and filed inasmuch as the liens have been paid, and item 8 may be received and filed inasmuch as the property is an owner-occupied single-family dwelling and exempt from lien.
Correct. So we so ordered on those items. Do we have any specials on those items?
Mr. President, there are cards on items 1, 3, 5, 9, 12, and 16.
All right, so let's, on the balance, let's open the roll on the balance. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next item.
Items 22 through 32 are items for which public hearings have been held.
In committee. Very good, Madam Clerk. Are there any specials, members? Check your agenda. See none. No specials. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
11 ayes. Next item.
Items 33 through 37 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Let's open the roll for consideration. And without objection, put it before us, Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, there are cards on all the items.
We'll call those specials. Those two special. Next item.
Mr. President, that brings council to presentations or items called special.
Well, I'm going to call on the great councilman of the 7th District, who's got a great high school from the north of Most Point of the great city of Los Angeles. And we welcome Sylmar High School. Now welcome Councilman Felipe Fuentes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. I'm going to ask the Sylmar Spartans basketball team to join me up here with our principal, James Lee, our coach. Oh, come on up. Don't be shy. Yeah, stand right behind me. All right. Colleagues, good morning. Today, I have the distinct honor of presenting to you two championship teams from Sylmar High School, the boys soccer team, and standing behind me, the boys basketball team. Give them a round of applause. Mr. Labange, on March 7th, the Sylmar High School boys basketball team defeated Granada Hills Charter High School 51-48 to win the Los Angeles City Division I championship title. Sylmar has now earned back-to-back titles after defeating Garfield High School last year 88-54 in the Division II championship. During this year's championship, 10 of the 14 points were scored by Tyler Hooks. Where's Tyler? Raise your hand. All right. During the last 8 minutes, the team came together, followed Tyler's lead by continuing the scoring spree. This was truly a team effort, colleagues, as Oscar Reese and Will Clark, raise your hands. They both demonstrated even more Spartan power as they scored a combined 23 points in the second quarter. Spartan Adrian Galindo, Adrian, also contributed greatly by putting Granada Hills on its toes as he scored a three-pointer with only 3 minutes and 20 seconds remaining on the clock. Obviously, colleagues, this type of win, this title, it wouldn't be possible without the tremendous support of their parents, coaches, school administrators. So I'd like to ask a couple of those folks, are they here? Where's our principal? Did he make it? Is James Lee here? It doesn't look like Mr. Lee's here. How about our athletic director, Melissa Snee? Is she here? Come on up here. Also, Coach Bort Escoto and assistant coach Gerald Dickinson. Are they here? Come on up. Come on up. Colleagues, these young men are an example of what hard work, dedication, and commitment, and of course, Spartan pride brings to the Northeast San Fernando Valley. We want to congratulate them on their 2015 City Section Division I championship, and I'd like to turn it over to Bort Escoto, their coach.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having us here today. I was going to go over the stats, but I think you did a great job covering all that. I know we don't look much like a basketball team up here, but when the coach is the biggest guy out here, you know, it's kind of strange. But it was really a special year for us with this group of kids having to overcome. We actually started the season off losing. We started off 2-8. Guys put it together. They worked hard all season. I kept telling them, keep fighting, keep fighting. We're going to pull this out. And lo and behold, towards the end, we pulled it off. But I just wanted to thank the council for having us here today. One of our seniors wanted to speak on our behalf, Ryan Zubia.
I just want to thank Sco for never giving up on us. I know he didn't believe in us in the beginning, like you said, with the 2-8, but we kept on working hard and we proved him that we could win City again. So thank you.
All right, colleagues, we're going to bring up next the soccer team. Sylmar High School boys soccer team. Come and join me. Melissa, you can stay up. You're the athletic director here. Give them a big round of applause. Come on, close, guys. Colleagues, on March 14th, the Spartans boys soccer team defeated Servite High School 3-1 to win for the first time ever the Southern California Regional Division II championship title. Give them a big round of applause. The Spartans were 23-7-5 in their league this season and did an outstanding job bringing the title home. The championship game began with a goal from the opposition, but Alexis Gomez, raise your hand. Come over here so we can see you. Answered quickly and scored a goal from a penalty kick. Spartan Edray Garcia, raise your hand. Scored 2 fantastic header goals during the second half of the game. This, of course, was truly a team effort. We're very proud of you, your coaches, your parents, and your dedication to seeking this achievement and becoming champions for Sylmar High School. The title, of course, would not be possible without the support of the parents, the coaches, the administrators. So I'd like to ask our coach, Carlos Mario Olivares, and assistant coach Martin Adam to come on up. Say a few words.
Mr. Fuentes, we're very grateful to be here. Thank you for having us. I think I'll let Eric Padilla, our team captain, do the rest of the talking.
Thank you for having us here today. This championship couldn't have happened without these guys right here. These guys, they worked hard for it since the start. We had a pretty bad start. We started off with the losing streak, but we learned from our mistakes and we came back and we won it all. This is the first time ever, and I'm proud of these guys. Thank you.
Colleagues, a Spartan basketball team, soccer team came from behind all season long to win it all. Colleagues, this is what champions look like. We're very excited about what they've done in sports, and we know that academically they're doing tremendous as well. I'm, in fact, going to be at Sylmar High School later this afternoon to talk to other folks who are working on urban agriculture. So they're doing it all at Sylmar High School. Give them a big round of applause.
Good job, Sylmar. Better bring a hand for the great champions, both basketball and soccer. I'd like to call on Mr. Gilbert Cedillo for another presentation. Correct there, as we clear the area.
May I please be joined by my colleagues, Mitchell Farrell and Curran Price.
Good to see you. Everything good?
Mr. Cedillo, we have your attention at this time. Please welcome
Mr. President, 35 years ago, one of the leading voices for social justice, for peace, for equality, for dignity was assassinated. The late Archbishop Oscar Romero had become the voice of a nation at war, a voice of peace, a voice for the poor. He spoke out against the incredible injustices that were occurring, and for that, he gave his life. Today, we're joined by Mercedes Lopez Peña, Consul General of El Salvador, my dear friend Carlos Vacareno, Executive Director of SALEF and President of the LA San Salvador Sister City Association, also joined by Sandra Rosato, Executive Director of Clinica Romero, located on Alvarado, right at the border of the 1st and 13th District. Mr. President, we're celebrating the life of an incredibly great man who was the moral voice against injustice. It was a time of incredible unrest and turbulence. It was a time in which the young men and women, families in Central America, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Guatemala, throughout the region were searching for peace. There were civil wars that were common, and there were those rare voices who spoke up in defense of the poor. Monsignor Oscar Romero has been recognized internationally and was a recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts. But on March 24th, 1980, an assassin killed him, but did not kill his voice. We are here today to make sure that his voice remains constant, ever vigilant over the conflicts that exist in that region and in our world, who speaks up for those who aspire to be free and to live a life, yes, who aspire to be free and to live a life with dignity and respect. At his funeral, hundreds of thousands of mourners from around the world attended. And in 1997, Pope John Paul II bestowed the title of Servant of God, and the canonization process for Archbishop Romero to declare him a saint began. On February 3rd, 2015, he was declared a martyr by Pope Francis. The product of this civil war that took place in El Salvador and throughout the region, is that it created a diaspora, diaspora of Salvadorans who could no longer live in their homeland. The Salvadorans began to appear in our city in the late 70s and their 80s and continued. Now they are integrated, part and parcel, not only of the 1st District, but the entire city. And so we welcome them here as they are pillars of our community. The Salvadoran community, along with all the Angelenos, recognize the importance of paying tribute to the life and the teachings of Archbishop Romero. And so I'm really honored to be here with you today. This is a time, an important time, March 22nd to 25th. We're going to declare the week of remembrance of the teachings of Archbishop Romero. But we should keep in mind that his teachings were for the poor. And the poor are part of all our societies, not just those who suffer through civil war, but those who live within a mile of this sacred hall. And there's poor throughout our city that need a voice, and that this council and this chamber should be a voice for those who are poor. And we should remember that it is our duty and our obligation to be that voice and to follow the teachings of the great Archbishop Romero. I'd like to welcome my colleagues, Curran Price and Mitchell Farrell, to join us.
Thank you. Thank you, Gil, to the Council General and friends of the El Salvadorian community. It's an honor to just stand shoulder to shoulder with you. My trip to El Salvador over a year or so ago, I had a chance to go to the Romero Shrine, residence, and it was a piece of tranquility and calmness. And so it's no question why he was such a strong leader, not only in that country, not only in Latin America, but has really been a real model throughout the world. We've got a monument of him in MacArthur Park, and again, just underscoring the power, the scope, the depth of his leadership. And so I'm honored, I'm proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with the diaspora, El Salvadorian diaspora, as we celebrate, commemorate, and never forget the history and the saga of Father Romero. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cedillo and Mr. Price and colleagues. We recognize Monsignor Romero's advocacy for the poor and the persecuted, which made him the voice of the voiceless. And despite the death threats against his life in the midst of civil war, Archbishop Romero continued his campaign for human rights. We commemorate a man who for many decades since his passing has stood as a figure of hope for the Salvadoran people. He represents the moral voice against the injustices and human rights violations that led Salvadorans to flee their country and seek refuge in the United States. As you're aware, colleagues, the city of Los Angeles has the largest concentration of Salvadorans outside the Republic of El Salvador. A big percentage of that residing in the 13th, the 1st, the 9th council districts and beyond. We are also honored to represent the Salvadoran population in Los Angeles. I am honored to recognize the important social, cultural, economic, and political contributions of the Salvadoran community to the city. I am very proud to stand with you all here today as we pay tribute to the life and the teachings and legacy of Monsignor Oscar A. Romero. Me siento orgulloso de estar aquí con todos ustedes a rendir homenaje a la vida y enseñanzas de Monsignor Oscar A. Romero, porque hoy honramos la vida de un hombre que durante muchas décadas y décadas pasadas de su vida se ha destacado como una figura de esperanza para todos nuestros hermanos salvadoreños. Estamos dedicados a mejorar el bienestar y luchar por los derechos humanos de nuestra comunidad salvadoreña en Los Ángeles. Gracias. Muchas gracias. Thank you, Carlos Vaquereño, Sandra Rosato, Mercedes Lopez Peña, a todos. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Bonin has a comment. Mr. Bonin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Cedillo, Mr. Price, Mr. O'Farrell, I want to thank you for doing this presentation today. Many of you spoke eloquently about how important and significant Monsignor Romero was to the Salvadoran community. I just wanted to say a few words about how important he is to the Catholic community. And throughout most of my life, I've had a very complicated relationship with my church, a church that devalues me as a human being and denies my relationship, a church that demeans women around the world by not treating them equally, but a church that also is the most unimpeachable voice for social justice in the world. A church of Pope Francis, a church of Ernesto Cardenal, a church of Monsignor Romero, a church of Dorothy Day. Monsignor Romero was, as Pope Francis indicated, a martyr. But he wasn't just a martyr for God. He was a martyr for the best of the church and its voice in social justice. He wasn't assassinated really as a surprise. He knew it was coming. 3 years before he died, a good friend of his, a priest, was killed. And he said at the time, when I looked at Rutilio lying there dead, I thought, if they've killed him for doing what he did, then I too have to walk the same path. And he dedicated himself more fully then to speak out against oppression and for the poor and for justice. About a month before he died, he gave a speech, and he noted that 50 priests had been attacked and threatened, that 6 had already become martyrs, many had been tortured or expelled from the country, nuns had been brutally persecuted. And he said, this is what's happening to the prominent folks of the church. And he asked to imagine what's happening to the lay people of the church, those who are not in the spotlight. Then he said, but it's important to note why the church has been persecuted. Not any and every priest has been persecuted. Not any and every institution has been attacked. That part of the church has been attacked and persecuted that put itself on the side of the people and went to the people's defense. Here again, we find the same key to understanding the persecution of the church, the poor. I think it's incredibly appropriate that today on Monsignor Romero's feast day, we have on our agenda 3 items dealing with homelessness in the city of Los Angeles. And this afternoon, Mr. Price's committee begins deliberations on raising a minimum wage here in the city of Los Angeles. It's a perfectly appropriate tribute. Thank you.
Mr. Bonin, you've set the stage for an incredible day for us of work. Let me bring up Sandra Rosato, Executive Director of Clinica Romero, that continues the work of the great Monsignor Romero.
Thank you, Councilmember Gil Cedillo, and everybody here that's supporting. First of all, I want to thank everybody for their continuous support on our request to celebrate the week in honor of Monsignor Oscar A. Romero, an honorable man and humble who advocated for social justice and the poor. Clinica Romero carries his legacy by providing medical services to more than 500 individuals every single day without turning anyone away, regardless of their legal status or their ability to pay. If Monsignor Romero were here today, which I know he's watching, he would be so happy to know that his work and his mission continues to serve the communities most in need, the poor. Thank you for your support.
Let me introduce a man who for decades has been a voice for the Salvadoran community, who has led the charge for young people from El Salvador to pursue their educational goals. Long before it was popular, he was a voice for what today we now call dreamers, and has been a leader in the process of integrating Salvadorans who are now here and who now have a second home. With great honor and great privilege, let me introduce Carlos Bacareno, Executive Director of SALIF and President of the LA El Salvador Sister City Association.
Thank you, Councilmember Gil Cedillo. Mr. President, members of the City Council, Councilmember Price, Councilmember Mitchell Farrell. Como cristiano, no creo en la muerte sin resurrección. Si me matan, resucitaré en el pueblo salvadoreño. As a Christian, I do not believe in death without resurrection. If they kill me, I will rise in the Salvadoran people. 25 years ago, Monsignor Romero gave these words before he was killed. As we celebrate the 35th anniversary of his martyrdom and his future beatification on May 23rd, the Salvadoran community is so happy to join you and celebrating in this proclamation for the week of Monsignor Romero. We must make a commitment to continue to pay tribute to him and his legacy by serving the poor, bringing awareness to and fighting the injustices that still prevail in El Salvador. His future beatification is the best way to pay tribute to a great man who gave his life to the poor and demonstrated that at the heart of human rights, everybody should be treated equal with dignity and respect. Thank you very much.
It's my honor to introduce Mercedes Lopez Peña, Cónsul General del El Salvador en Los Angeles. Por favor.
Muchas gracias al Consejo Municipal en nombre del gobierno y del pueblo salvadoreño.
Thank you very much to City Council in the name of the Salvadorian citizenship and its government.
Este día es un día histórico para el pueblo del Salvador.
Today is a very historic day for the Salvadorian population.
24 de marzo de 1980, día en que se marca la pauta de las transformaciones en nuestro país.
March 24th, 1980, it was a very renowned and underscore day in our country.
El ejemplo de Monseñor Romero, mártir salvadoreño.
The example of Monsignor Romero, a martyr, Salvadorian martyr. He's also a great example for the rest of the world.
En la lucha y elevar la voz en contra de la injusticia y las desigualdades
in the fight in order to raise the voice against injustice and against the lack of freedom in the rest of the world and for Salvadorians.
Agradezco a los tres señores concejales que este día presentan la moción con el apoyo del resto de concejales.
I'm very grateful to the three council members who on this day present a motion along with the support of the rest of the council members.
Que se declara la semana de Monseñor Romero.
In declaring this week, Monsignor Romero's week.
El 23 de mayo en El Salvador será culminado el proceso de beatificación de nuestro obispo mártir.
On May 23rd in El Salvador, the beatification of Monsignor Romero as a martyr will take place.
Y el 26 de marzo de esta semana ha sido declarado Día Nacional por la Vida, la Paz y la Justicia por la Asamblea Legislativa del Salvador.
And on March 26th, by the National Assembly of El Salvador, it's been declared the Day of Life, Peace, and Justice in El Salvador.
En honor a los ideales.
In honor to the ideals.
En honor a ese sueño.
In honor of that dream.
Que Monseñor tenía en El Salvador.
That Monsignor had in El Salvador.
El día 26 de marzo
March 26th,
va en concordancia y cumplimiento a ese sueño.
It goes in agreement and in commitment to finally provide that dream.
El pueblo y gobierno del Salvador, el 26 de marzo lo hemos declarado y decimos no a la violencia en nuestro país.
On March 26th, the citizenship of El Salvador and also its government will say no to violence.
Así es que este día queremos agradecer este esfuerzo e invitamos a que nos incorporemos a las actividades.
Today we're very grateful for these activities and all the events that are going to take place, and we ask you to join us for all the festivities.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Members, we're going to close right now with this resolution, but I want to invite up Jennifer Sandoval, one of the students at the charter school, so she can say a brief word.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, dear council members. My name is Jennifer Sandoval, and I'm here on behalf of the parents, the staff, and the students of Monsignor Oscar Romero Charter School. We want to thank you for your support in the beatification of Monsignor Romero. This morning, all teachers and students in our school are involved in an in-depth study of Monsignor Romero and his life. We believe that his life is not only worth studying, but also imitating. We study him because we want our characters to be more like him. Abel and Edwin are here with us today. They just arrived here from El Salvador just months ago. They also come with dreams and ambitions and a love for their country and their people. Monsignor would be proud of them as his values and teachings live on in the generations. Thank you for your time.
Bravo. We're going to do that in the back. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cedillo, for this great presentation, for Archbishop Romero, for the sister city of San Salvador, Carlos, and for the special young people.
Pictures in the back.
So thank you so much. Another big hand for the team. Remember, Michigan.
Good job.
Now I'd like to call on the quarterback of the City Council, a.k.a. President of the City Council, Herb Wesson, for a very special presentation.
You just hold it. Mr. President and members, it's an honor to stand before you today. I've got a group of young people. I have the leaders of tomorrow standing behind me today. And if I could, I don't see the principal. I do see you.
Get your glasses on, Mr.
And
President.
do we have Coach Scott and Miss Davidson? Where are you? Get where I can feel you. Where's the coach? Where's Coach Scott? Coach, get up here. Get some of those offensive linemen to make a pathway for you to come up here and stand beside me. And there he is. And my dear friend and a doctor, the principal of LA High, Ms. Fontanellis, that I've had the pleasure to work with for several years. Look, members, I really don't know where to start on this. For me, it kind of goes back to 1974 when I first moved to California, and I was very homesick, and I was very, very lonely. So I talked my mother into having my brother visit me from Cleveland, Ohio. My brother comes, I won't say how I did it, but I promptly enrolled him in LA High School, therefore forcing my mother to move here. But my brother graduated from LA High School. I lived right around the corner from LA High on Olympic and Norton, Mr. Labange. But we're here today to acknowledge two phenomenal things. Number one, This football team under Coach Scott won the Division III championship, the first championship in 49 years at LA High. And it was very unique. They did it with a first-year coach, a coach who had experience coaching high school, a coach that also worked in colleges as well. They did it with a group of young men that were just dedicated to the game of football and that were really wanted to learn every aspect of the game. It's not like this team was built, on 24 young men that had played Pop Warner football for 5 or 6 years. I think they only had a handful of young men that played football prior to going to high school. But it was their desire, the ability of Coach Scott, the support of the principal and the school, where they shocked Division III and beat Monroe in the championship. LA High, give yourselves a round of applause. They won 12 games and only lost 2 and won in the championship. And that is just significant because the kids in our area, LA High, had not experienced it. On top of that, it's really getting kind of matter of fact. Just kind of like, when you pull out a dollar bill, you see the president's face. Whenever you think of a band that's being the best band in the city of LA, you just think of LA High School. I got to just rattle this off right quick. They are celebrating there she is, Miss Davidson, their 25th consecutive championship, or being identified as, you hear me? I didn't say 2 years. I didn't say 5 years. I didn't say 25th consecutive year. This group is so good, members, that they have performed in music videos. They have performed in movies. They have performed for presidents of foreign countries, just to name a few: Argentina, Thailand, and South Korea. When there's a promotion in the area, when new businesses are coming to the area, they call on LA High's band to somehow participate. We just celebrated a grand opening of Sports Authority several months ago, and a lot of the young ladies that you see behind me were there, and the band members. They have participated in the Christmas parade. You've seen them on television on the George Lopez show. They've been on Access Hollywood, Entertainment Tonight. So any parent in the city of Los Angeles, if you want your child to be part of a tradition, part of history, part of the baddest band that the city of LA has ever known, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for LA High School's band. 25 consecutive years. So again, I want to celebrate and congratulate Coach on doing a phenomenal job. And now that you won one, we'll be looking for 24 more in a row from you. And also to this powerhouse to my right, could we please give the band leader, Miss Davidson, a round of applause? And representing the high school, that my brother graduated from. I'd like to present to all of you the principal, my friend, and a phenomenal educator, Dr. Fontanellis.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning to the council. Good morning to all of you who join us this morning. Buenos dias. 안녕하세요. I'm the proud, mighty proud principal of Los Angeles High School. So I stand before you and I'm bursting with pride for our Roman musicians, scholars, performers, and athletes. Can we give them a big, huge applause because this day belongs to them. So, City of Los Angeles truly celebrates today in honoring its first public high school in all of Los Angeles, all of LAUSD. And what a great honor to be recognized before you, Los Angeles High School, home of the mighty Romans. So on behalf of our talented students, scholars, and staff at Los Angeles High School, I thank you for giving us this opportunity to shine before you. And a special shout out to Tom LaBonge sitting over there supporting Los Angeles House, and our council president, Herb Wesson. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wesson. Before you make the presentation.
No, wait a minute, wait a minute, Mr. LaBonge.
Okay.
I'm receiving a pin.
Oh, all right.
I am being pinned.
Los Angeles High School pin.
Los Angeles High School pin that my brother will probably confiscate from me.
I have an extra one.
Okay, good, and I get to keep it. But I do want to say that a lot of ever since I've been here, Mr. LaBonge has been a big supporter. And Mr. LaBonge, I want to present two pieces of hardware to be put on the wall at LA High, and then maybe you could say a few words. So if I could get Coach. This is for, or did I read that wrong? No, that's wrong. That's right. I just gave him the one for the band. That's not right. But listen, for the football team, give them a round of applause. For the band. And to the greatest leader of all time, the heavyweight champion of the world. Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause as well. Mr. LaBonge.
Thank you very much. In the middle there, I see Bruce Cohen, a great graduate. He heads up the board of the Harrison Trust, which is a 1895 graduate of LA High that left the trust to fund the sports program at LA High. Bruce, great to see you. And Mr. President, I just want to say last summer I went out. They're having two-a-days. I saw Coach Scott, and I asked if you ever want a night game, because they never had a night game before. And because of your leadership, we were able to put together a night game, which was very special for all the Romans and helped lead the way. And I also want to add Mr. Price and his work on the Coliseum Commission, and before Mr. Parks and myself, we always fought to get the LA City Championship game there. I had an opportunity personally once to play in the Coliseum, but I graduated in 2.5 years, so I never did. So I think to the Romans, I'm so proud of you for what you did and play there. And I got one. And Justin right here, number 24, Justin Rogers. There we go. Oh, touchdown, Romans. Okay. And Madam Principal, I salute Joyce. And also, members, you should know Fletcher Bowen, our former mayor, four-term mayor, who turned Los Angeles around. Fletcher Bowen went here. Bobby Farrell went to LA High School. John Cassidy, a council member, went to LA High School, as well as many other people, including the great Roz Wyman. So you have a great history that has solid footing here, a number of actors and athletes as well. I'm proud of the Romans. I'm proud of my Uncle Bernard, who went to LA High School. He dropped out at 17 and joined the Marines and went to Korea. And his buddy from LA High dropped out at the same time, and he went to 104th in Normandy at a Marine depot. But that's how it worked. Go Romans. Go Romans. Justin. Did you get my pen? Did you see it? Yeah. Sherry, boom, boom.
Congratulations.
Very nice, Mr. President. Now we're going to call on the great councilman of the 3rd District, Mr. Bob Blumenfield.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
I gave him one of these.
Wait till we clear the room for a moment.
As the Romans leave the chambers, we call on Mr. Blumenfeld for a very, very special presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. President. Colleagues, today it is my distinct honor to recognize one of the greats in jazz. Arturo Sandoval. Would you please join me here? Arturo Sandoval. He's here with his wife, Marilena, and family members and friends. It's not every day that we get to stand in this council chamber to honor a true legend. A Grammy winner, a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, someone who has made untold contributions to the music and arts around the world. Arturo is without a doubt one of the most dynamic and vivacious live performers of our time. Born in a small town in Cuba, Arturo spent over 20 years in Florida, but today is a resident of the city of Los Angeles, and I'm proud to say a resident of the 3rd District of Los Angeles, right in Tarzana. Arturo is one of those folks who is acknowledged to be one of the premier guardians of jazz. He is known for being one of the first musicians to bring Latin influences into American jazz. Growing up in Cuba, Arturo was influenced by jazz legends who came before him: Charlie Parker, Clifford Brown, Dizzy Gillespie. In fact, no one is more closely identified with Arturo than Dizzy. Mr. Gillespie has been referred to as a spiritual father, I believe, of Mr. Sandoval, later becoming a mentor and a colleague, playing concerts together on stage in Europe and Cuba, later featuring him in the United Nations Orchestra. Now, you may not realize this, but this is something actually that Arturo and I have in common. We have both played on the stage with Dizzy Gillespie. Wow. In Arturo's case, it was because he is one of the greats, and it was a colleague, and the two of them were there together making beautiful music. In my case, it was back in the 80s, and I was a member of the Duke Jazz Ensemble. And one of the things when greats came to the university to play the theater, they often had to, or they did as a matter of public service or pity, they played one song with the Duke Jazz Band. So I got to play with Mr. Gillespie as well. So we share that trumpeteering that both of us have. Among his many talents, Arturo plays not only the trumpet, but the flugelhorn, and is a renowned classical artist, a pianist, a composer. And aside from his talent in jazz, he performs regularly with symphony orchestras from around the world and is an extremely prolific composer. He's performed with renowned musicians such as Woody Herman, Stan Getz, Johnny Mathis, Frank Sinatra, Paul Anka, Rod Stewart, Alicia Keys, and many others. He has inspired other works of art, having been portrayed by Andy Garcia in an HBO film that was based on his life. Not only is he talented himself, but he is also dedicated to sharing the gift of music with others who feel the same intense adoration for the art as he does. He was a tenured professor of music at Florida International University for 20 years. He contributed to many charities and scholarship programs and has even founded his own very charitable organization called the Arturo Sandoval Institute. And in fact, I believe all of you have a little bit of paperwork about that institute on your desks, which we're sharing with folks. He's dedicated to support aspiring young musicians by educating and supporting them and continuing their education regardless of their economic circumstances. Over the course of his career, he has racked up so many honors and recognitions. I don't even have time to go through it, but I'm going to name a few, which include 10 Grammy Awards, 6 Billboard Awards, and an Emmy Award. We are truly with one of the greats here today. He's performed for 4 presidents of the United States, Bush Sr., Bill Clinton, Bush Jr., and Obama. Furthermore, he was the 2013 recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor that this country bestows. It is not only amazing that we have him here, but it is fitting that the city honor this remarkable Angelino and declare this day, March 24th, 2015, as Arturo Sandoval Day. With that, Mr. Sandoval, I want to give you this recognition signed by the mayor, myself, and all the other council members, acknowledging that this day will forever be known as Arturo Sandoval Day. Thank you so much for being here, and we'd love it if you would like to say a few words.
Yeah, thank you so much, and it's a huge honor for me to have this distinction from my favorite city in the world. I have a privilege to travel all over the world for so many years, but I really consider the city of Los Angeles my very favorite. And I'm a little disappointed the president left. Yeah, he was here all morning, and then he left, and the moment
Oh, again, the process.
Yeah. Okay, good. Let him know that I really like it, that. But anyway, I'm so happy and humble to accept this beautiful distinction. And as you mentioned before, my pride, my biggest pride probably is the Arturo Sandoval Institute, which has been for the last 3 years we created in the city of Los Angeles just to help kids in needs. You know, that's what we mainly do. Is 100% non-profit organization. And this is exactly what we do. And thank you very much. God bless America.
Thank you very much. And as the acting president right now, I'm here listening. You're doing great work. We all thank you very much. So God bless you. Thank you.
Any chance we get you to play a song or something? I mean, yeah. What's that?
That's okay, President?
The floor is yours.
We got a trumpet for you and everything. This is for the folks in the chamber and the many folks watching on TV. We would be honored.
I'm gonna take only 1 minute.
God bless.
Brought down the house.
God bless America, and God bless Arturo Sandoval for Arturo Sandoval Day.
Absolutely. Let's give it up.
Yeah, when you hear God bless America,
Thank you
don't talk
very
in the
much.
phone.
God bless you. Thank you. I was going to say, Bob, I can name that tune in one note. That was fantastic. Thank you. Madam Clerk, if we can please take the next item. I don't know how we follow that, but we're going to certainly try.
Mr. President, at this time, Council should reconsider items 7, 21, 24, and 33.
Okay, we'll go ahead and reconsider those. Mr. Fuentes.
Item 18, I'd like to ask for an extension of 2 weeks.
And 18 as well. So without objection, that'll be the order?
I'm sorry, it's 16.
16.
My
okay.
apologies.
Okay, 16. All right, let's go ahead and open the roll on that just in case. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, those matters are before us then?
And Mr. President...
2 weeks on item 16, please.
Okay. 16. 16?
16. 1-6.
Okay, and Mr. President, so for item 16, that would be continued to April 14th, due to the recess.
Okay, that'll be the order without objection.
There's requests also to continue item 5, 24, and 33 to April 28th.
Okay, we'll go ahead and consider those items to those specific dates without objection, and that'll be the order.
And to continue items 7, 9, and 12 to April 14th.
Okay, we'll continue those items to that. Wait, hold on for 1 second. Mr. Parks?
Let's see. Add number 1 and make a correction that should be CD8 instead of CD15, and also give it a 2-week continuance.
And that's April 14th.
Okay.
Okay, so on those continuances, that'll be the order without objection.
And Mr. President, at this time, Council can take item 21. For item 21, the city has completed its bond sale on a competitive basis with 12 bidders. The award of the Solid Waste Resources Refunding Revenue Bonds, Series 2015A, has been awarded to the winning bidder, Morgan Stanley and Company, LLC, at a true interest cost of 1.295%.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take up that item now. And do we have cards on 21? Oh, that has already had a public hearing. And seeing no members on the queue, we'll go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, so moved. Next item, please.
Item number 3, call special for cards.
Donna? Followed by, is it, I'm not sure if it's David.
It shows here a $11,000 fine. It shows again that we're giving trouble to the homeowners. They have all these liens, and they probably put on prices on top of it when they don't pay right on time, and they won't work out a deal with them to be able to pay it. But big corporations get away with being forgiven like millions of dollars. So this is not right. It shows that the city council and it shows that our mayor doesn't care for the homeowner. And that's why we shut off our video conferencing and why they don't like to go down to the
Can you
ballot.
please stay on the subject, please?
So the topic is we have to come up with so these people won't have such a hardship, because there was a whole big line of liens. This is ridiculous, and things that probably shouldn't even be. We don't even know what these people are being fined for. So there's got to be way to help out the homeowners so they can keep their homes, so they won't be such in debt. And that's why so many are homeless, and Garcetti can care less about our homeless. And
again, that's not on the subject.
Yeah, so soon they'll become homeless if they don't pay their liens. So that's all I want to say is we got to work with these people so it's not such a hardship. Pretend like they're big corporations and give them a break.
David, is it Ado? Handel? No? No other cards on this item? Okay, we'll go ahead and Mr. Buscaina.
Thank you. If I can call up Charles, please, on this item.
I see here a letter was sent to the property owner on September 2012. Then again in, I believe, March of 2013. Can you just explain if any significant progress has been made to date?
Yeah, my name is Charles Kalibala. I'm here to represent the Department of Building and Safety on this item. Now, this item, property address 9422 South Holmes Avenue, the department proposes that the lien for $11,005.90 be confirmed due to property owner's failure to comply with violations of the Los Angeles Municipal Code that include open storage of vehicles on the property, rubbish, garbage, and trash on the property, and about 8 items where the property owner failed to comply. Up to now, he hasn't complied yet. We sent the documents, the order to comply on or around March 26, 2012, and he was given up to April 9, 2012 to comply, about 2 weeks. He didn't comply within that time given, so he was cited for those violations, and he was issued with $220 in non-compliance fees, which he hasn't paid up to now. This has accumulated over the years to include a late fee of $6,340, accumulated interest of 2017, CVIF fees of $336, all that totals $11,005.90, and the department proposes that this lien be confirmed due to property owner's failure to comply with the violations and to pay the required fees.
Thank you, Charles. Ask for an aye vote on this.
Okay, seeing no other speakers on the queue. Oh, Mr. Parks, did you, your button was pressed. No? Okay, we're good. We'll go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Great, that is moved. And Madam Clerk, we're going to go ahead and take for cards items 34, 35, 36, and 37 together. Mr. Walsh has cards on all 4 items. Mr. Walsh, if you want to come on up on all 4 of those, 34, 35, 36, and 37. We'll ask the speakers to please stay on topic on those specific matters. Thank you. Mr. Fuentes.
Mr. President, also item number 14, I'd like to reconsider that and also ask for a 2-week extension.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take that item up right now as well. So that'll be before us on that request. Please open the roll to reconsider that item. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, that extension is granted. Thank you very much. Without objection, that'll be the order. Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. Number 34, again, this is an excellent idea. It's only going to cost $232. That's reasonable. It's for the 40th anniversary celebration of Black Women's Lawyers Association Day. I hope these lawyers will not be deterred by this award here in City Council from suing the city on racist issues that pertain to particularly black women. Number 35, okay, this is an amending relative to the acquisition of 427 North Gaffey Street. Now, what the City Council does is give away land free to developers, little pieces of chunks of land to make it easier for them. On the other hand, here they need to buy land from a private owner, and they made a deal to buy a piece of property at North Gaffey Street, and then what happened was that the person who made the deal decided they wanted a little more money, so they went to Buscaino, and Buscaino went to Krikorian, and now you're going to give them an extra $100,000 for this cheap piece of land. Why do you think the city's falling apart? Why do you think it's falling apart? You're handing money over to political contributors.
Please stay on the subject matter.
Number 36
it's not on
the subject. O'Farrell and LaBonge, this regards $420,000 in block grants to provide working capital for the Step-On Vine Cafe project. We, in this city, remember this is in the white neighborhood, This is Vine Street. This is for white people like me, blacks and Hispanics and Asians. Why are we giving, and they'll never talk about it up here, why are we handing out from this city $420,000 of federal money to provide working capital, that means to build it, for a cafe? Look, we have enough goddamn alcohol licenses in the city of Los Angeles, and particularly in Hollywood. But what are you doing? You are taking our money, and these damn reporters over there are paying no attention. You are taking $420,000 of our money and handing it over so we can have another choice to buy alcohol. We only have several hundred alcohol dispensaries, but we need this $420,000 for the community development block grant for the Vine Cafe. If you wonder why we have the worst streets in the world, if you wonder why we have the highest hit and run ratio in the world, it's from alcohol being sold in places like Hollywood. And this is absolutely incredible. I'd like to point out that the final maps, check these maps out, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not talking to anybody here except the people watching on television, because this is an all-white jury here, and I might as well be a black man accused of rape. They're going to hang me. And the only thing to say is...
Again, you're not on the subject matter.
Okay, final
That was your
track
final
map.
warning.
What this involves is, say you own property and its track map says you cannot build a high-rise there, you cannot build commercial. You go to a city councilman and you get a rezoning, upzone, upzone, upzone. Know where you can put your upzone. And what happened here is the city engineer is now upzoning this neighborhood. So you don't have to pay attention to what's going on here. But when they start building a high-rise where you live and destroying your value of your property, remember it was because one of these silly little track maps, no one at the city council said anything, and the developer paid off. And remember, this is legal in this state, in this city. They pay it off with campaign contributions and office holder account funds to destroy the city. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you back seconds. Don't come to L.A. It's the hit-and-run capital of the world. Take a look at the Da Vinci.
Thank you very much. Okay, so you're... thank you. Herman, come on up on 34, 35, and 36.
Angelinos, guess who's back? Batman Returns.
Okay, if you're not going to stay on subject, speak to the subject, please.
Black Women Lawyers Association. Congratulations, our lawyers of Los Angeles, for the 40th anniversary celebration that happened on June 18th, 2014 in the City Hall Rotunda. Thanks to the taxpayers who funded it for you. Congratulations, our African American Lawyers Association of the 40th anniversary, sir. Am I on topic? Sure. Now, Batman wants to talk about item 35.
Motion by Busquiano and Gregorian relative to amending the prior council action January 23rd, 2015 relative acquisition. Subject: uncharged additional $100,000.
Now again, Mr. Felipe Fuentes, I find it out of order that $100,000, and by you, the budget man, Mr. Krikorian, for the remaining uncharged, you mean, Mr. Budget Man, you cannot calculate the amount within this subject of material under motion for item 35, CD 15, which is Joe Busquiano, Council District.
Please address the council as a whole.
Now, Mr. Speaker, correct me if I'm wrong. If Batman is out of order, why is he speaking on item number 35 in motion to Busquiano Krikorian? Am I out of order, Mr. City Attorney? Irrelevant, I'm not. So the point is, relative to amending a prior council action of January 23rd, 2015, relative to the acquisition of 427 North Gaffrey Street. Batman is in opposition to that. I find that the amount is staggering. Abuse, fraud, and waste when the budget man, and I won't say Krikorian's name again, should calculate the real expenses and give us a formula to the matrix that he's coming up with this bullshit. Now item number 36. Calm down, Batman. Calm down. Motion by O'Farrell, Mitchell Farrell, and Mr. Labange, who's not in his seat, out celebrating with the kids. Hoorah! But that's a different subject of matter. For the amount of change in use of $420,000 in community development block grant funds to provide working capital for the step.
A Vine Cafe project. Is this the same Vine Cafe that Batman came across that is asking for a permit for alcohol, beverages, and convenience? The same cafe that the gentleman speaker, Armando Herman, spoke to you all about. Is he disruptive because he talks about the necessity for $420,000 in community development block grant funds to provide working capital for the step up of Vine Cafe project? I find HollywoodHighland.org. Batman says to you, John, politically, John Walsh is correct. And Batman wants all Angelinos, all of you, to listen. I'm losing my voice. I'm going to ask for a recall.
Now, Mr. Herman, the subject of the matter here deals with the manager executive for the Economic Workforce Development Department, EWDD, or designee for $420,000 for through December 31st, 2015, effectuate the intent. You notice the word intent? God, I got big ears. Intent, Mr. Big Ears. You hear that? Wait up. I got to read this all off the agenda, though. To effectuate the intent of this motion, subject to the approval by the city attorney, monopoly man, as to the form of the legality, to authorize the general manager, designate to prepare the controller instructions, make any technical adjustments. Why couldn't you figure out the adjustments then?
Why couldn't you figure out the adjustment then, Mr. Englander?
But anyways, off the names and subject, running down the clock to 23:22, let me finish. Please let Batman finish. Again, require and are consistent to the action subject to the approval by the city administrative officers who gut the coffers of all of you Angelinos and taxpayers. Stop the abuse, stop the waste, stop the fraud. Big ears.
With that, we'll have items 34, 35, 36, and 37 before us. Please go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Great, thank you, Madam Clerk. Where does that take us next?
Mr. President, that brings council to general public comment.
All right, if we can please have a minute on the clock for general public comment. Julius. Yep, Julius, come on up.
Is that to give us less time? No, that's not. So, thank you for listening to me. I claim to be the true president of America. I have very logical, real reasons for claiming that. Obama and the news media blacklisted me, or I would be in the White House right now. I'm trying to give the city council unlimited money to take care of business in L.A. Think what you can do with unlimited money. Huzar, there you are, my councilman, Jose. Now, no, I have declared that science is a lie. The universe has proven my super genius. No scientist would debate me on my declaration that science is a lie because they know exactly what I would say to destroy them. I can prove everything I say, but for $11 trillion, but I don't have to prove anything. They are the ones that have to prove everything they say, and they can't prove anything, and they know it. Scientific evidence. That's a fantasy they made up in their minds.
Great. Thank you very much. Henry? Henry, followed by Donna, followed by John Walsh. Other speakers to line up as well. The ones that I called, please line up.
Yes, what lawyers...
One second, please. We'll hold your time. Followed by Wayne, and then followed by Herman. So if you can all please just go ahead and line up in that order, or whichever order you're in.
Yes, what lawyers made our city and union officials believe the money sheltered from the pay of Hackler and Kohler craftsmen didn't have to be accounted for and repaid or rolled over to a public employee pension and benefit plan. What lawyer made the city council believe that the public funds placed in trust of the Building Trades Council could be commingled with with private sector employee funds and pretend they were providing workers union benefits while being employed as Hackler and Kohler employees? What makes you still believe this money doesn't have to be turned over and recovered and placed in the benefit of public employees only, and not forfeited to private sector employee plans? They did a good job.
Okay, my name is Donna. We need to succeed from L.A. City Council does not care for the Valley. They're going on recess today. They were supposed to be in the Valley. Now we have 5.5 more years of those unfeeling politicians. You closed the video conferencing because you want to shut us up like you shut up Miriam when she came in on Friday. Like Obama doesn't care about the United States, does not care for minorities or Israel. Jews, please become Republicans. Obama, in my opinion, wants to accommodate the Islamic terrorists. Doesn't care for Israel to lose its Jewish state. Doesn't care if it loses its Jewish state, or if Iran blows us up, or if they, because they'll be in underground shelters. So they don't, in my opinion, Obama should be in The Hague, and that Obama and the Democrats are all communists, and they want to take away all our freedoms. Thank you.
John Walsh, visit J. Walsh Confidential right now and take a look at Stepin Fetchit's star on Hollywood Boulevard. It is the most decrepit star. It has gouges in it. It was filthy until I put it up on my website yesterday, and somebody went out there and cleaned it up. Thank you for cleaning it up. Stepin Fetchit was one of the greatest black actors in the world. He was the first millionaire, Hollywood black millionaire. You treat him like garbage. You treat him like garbage. I tried to talk to Mr. O'Farrell. He found out that Stepin Fetchit wasn't gay. He wasn't interested. Believe me, if they did this to somebody that was gay, he would be interested. The three black people up here, you're phonies. You're all white. An all-white jury. Go to my website, check Stepin Fetchit, and see the shit that they put on his star, HollywoodHighlands.org.
Wild, wild politicians to show me the same dignity, even respect, or will I ever make you feel better? Scorn me and F you, wild, wild politicians, I say to you, couldn't drag me away. Wild, wild F-ups couldn't drag me away. Wild, wild horses, look at the politicians of today. They run up the liens, they put them on you. Are we
me no different, a sin or a lie. I got my freedom of speech by Judge Ferguson. And now I say to you, wild, wild politician.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, so that concludes the public comment period. Do we have any public announcements? No public announcements. If we can get everybody to please rise for adjourning motions.
And Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
Oh, yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. So we'll go ahead and post and refer those items as well. If we can get everyone in council chambers to please rise for adjourning motions. Thank you very much. Mr. Buscaino.
Mr. President, colleagues, I ask that we adjourn in memory of Dr. John Tracy Gaffey II, who was born on March 8th, 1922 in Los Angeles. His grandfather was a prominent land developer in San Pedro. Gaffey Street, a major north-south corridor, was named in his honor. During the first 20 years of John's family, they lived in a Spanish-style hacienda mansion at La Rambla, the 7-acre estate of John in Arcadia, near the corner of Bandini Street and La Alameda Avenue in San Pedro. He attended Bandini Elementary School, Richard Henry Dana Middle School, and San Pedro High School. He flew bombing missions in South Africa and Italy for the Army Air Corps. During World War II, he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross, crash-landed twice, and flew 69 missions. In 1945, John married Margaret Irene of Los Angeles. After leaving the service as a captain, he attended pre-engineering classes on the GI Bill at Loyola University. In 1947, John began to work in the LA County Building and Safety Department while attending engineering classes at USC Night School. In 1948, he worked as a land surveyor with the LA County Engineer and subsequently as a junior civil engineer with the California Division of Highways. He joined the California Air National Guard in 1948 as a communications officer and pilot. He served in the Korean War as an Air Force pilot and commissioned engineer. John was assigned all over the world, from the Arctic to Southeast Asia, to the March Air Force Base in Riverside, Strategic Air Command, and to the Office of Director of Civil Engineering. He earned a master's degree and PhD in civil engineering from Purdue and then assigned to the Pentagon. He retired as lieutenant colonel. He worked at various firms and then started his own consulting engineering firm. He was an award-winning writer who published many lengthy articles under the auspices of the San Pedro Bay Historical Society. He also had a profound interest in the local tuna canning industry, and in 2010 published the result of his detailed research and interviews as a book entitled Nets, Hooks, and Boats, the San Pedro Bay Fishing Industry from 1850. He passed away June 13th, 2015, in Newport Beach at the age of 92. We adjourn in the memory of John T. Gaffey II. May he rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, any other adjourning motions? Councilman Parks.
Thank you very much. I'd ask that we adjourn in memory of Valia Maria Lachetti, who was passed away on March the 7th, 2015, at the age of 85. She was born in April 1929 in Reno. She was preceded in death by her father and mother, and also one of her sons. She also had 3 siblings, Kenneth, Paul, and Lorraine. After high school, she married her first husband, Fred Lund, and they had one son, Freddie, who also preceded her in death at the age of 19. Val remarried Rudolph Washington in 1954. Soon after meeting, they moved from Nevada to Los Angeles. They immediately took up a avocation of cooking, in which he became a prominent soul food restaurant and in the area. She also suffered through many years of being a part of a biracial marriage with Val and Rudy. They experienced much protest because of that union. Her marriage attracted harsh criticism, threats, and at times placed them in immediate danger. Val never wavered from her decision to join with her new family. She became even stronger and driven proponent of civil rights. From that new experience came her new reality and perspective of inequality, birthing her activism stance against racism and other injustice. From that marriage came 6 children. Her large family became the center of her life, which she derived abundant joy and love. She worked for many years at AAA Auto Club. She is an avid reader, publisher, writer, artist. She contributed to the AAA Auto Club Westway magazine, was a member of the Writers Guild of America, editor of the Open Door newsletter, member of the Watts Writers Workshop, a member of the Coalition Against Police Abuse, and founder of the Third Avenue Block Club. Val enjoyed listening to the opera, watching old movies with Betty Davis and foreign films, oil painting, writing screenplays, writing for television, and reading and writing poetry. Everyone close to her submitted their own drafts of written material to be vetted by her before turning them in for final copies to their high school teacher or their college professor, or simply writing for a hobby. She's surrounded by a host of great-grandchildren, cousins, nieces, and nephews, and special family members. Funeral services will be held on Tuesday, April 7th, 2 p.m. at St. Anselm's Church, located at 2222 West 70th Street. I have one other adjourning motion as to adjourn in memory of Marian Hellenkamp, who passed away Saturday, March the 14th at the age of 83. In December 1961, Hellenkamp, then 30, became a police officer with the LA Police Department. Her career spanned 26 years. She worked as a detective in Southwest Division and served as a watch commander in Wilshire area. In 1981, Marian Hellenkamp broke the gender and color barrier by becoming the first African-American policewoman to be promoted to the rank of lieutenant in LAPD. She retired in February 1987 after serving 26 years in the department. Her services are being planned.
Great, thank you. Colleagues, any other adjourning motions? Okay, we are officially adjourned. Thank you so much. Be safe.